What if you woke up one day to find your world turned upside down? Imagine the life of the Talwar family, living in the heart of a suburban neighborhood in New Delhi, seemingly as normal as any other family. At the nucleus of this family was Aarushi Talwar, a vibrant 14-year-old girl with a full life ahead of her. She was the apple of her parents' eyes, a beacon of light that illuminated their world. The Talwar household was a place of laughter and love, where the hustle and bustle of everyday life was punctuated by Aarushi's infectious giggles. They were a family like any other, with dreams, hopes, and plans for the future. But on the morning of May 16, 2008, the string of normalcy was abruptly severed. As the sun rose, casting a warm glow over the city, the Talwar's family maid arrived at their residence. She approached the front door, anticipating the familiar morning routine. A warm greeting from the Talwars, the aroma of brewing tea, and the sound of Aarushi getting ready for school. But that day, the front door was locked from the inside, an anomaly in the daily pattern. She knocked, she called, but the house remained eerily silent, a stark contrast to the usual morning symphony. A shiver of unease ran down her spine as she stood at the closed door, her knocks echoing in the silent street. The minutes ticked by, turning into an hour, then two. The sun climbed higher in the sky, casting long shadows that danced on the quiet street. The morning routine had been disrupted, replaced by a heavy blanket of uncertainty and fear. Little did the maid know she was about to stumble upon a scene straight out of a horror movie. Behind the locked doors of the Talwar residence, a dark secret waited to be unveiled. In the stillness of the early morning, a chilling discovery was made. Aarushi Talwar, just 14 years old, was found lifeless in the sanctuary of her own bedroom, her life abruptly extinguished. The initial shockwaves of this tragedy were amplified by the peculiar absence of the family's domestic help, Hemraj. He was nowhere to be found, and as the hours ticked by, suspicion began to cast its long shadow over him. But as daylight broke, the narrative took an unexpected twist. The horror of Aarushi's demise was no longer an isolated incident. Hemraj, initially the prime suspect, was found not on the run but on the terrace of the very same residence. His life too had been brutally cut short. The scene was grisly, the atmosphere heavy with the weight of a double murder mystery. The house that was once a home had become a chilling tableau of crime, its walls echoing with unanswered questions. Who could have done this? And why? The brutality of the act was as confounding as it was terrifying. In a matter of hours, the Talwar residence had transformed from a private dwelling into a public spectacle, a macabre stage set for a mystery that would captivate the nation. As investigators combed through the grim scene, the public watched with bated breath, their minds whirling with theories about what could have led to such a shocking crime. With every passing moment, the plot thickened. The missing domestic help was no longer a suspect, but a victim. The initial theories were shattered, leaving behind a complex puzzle that was far from being solved. This was no longer just about finding a killer. It was about piecing together a narrative that had been fractured by violence, a story whose chapters were written in blood. With two victims and no clear suspect, the mystery deepened. As the investigation unfolded, it seemed to raise more questions than answers. The Noida police were the first to arrive at the scene, taking the reins of this convoluted case. Their initial theory was chilling, to say the least. They suggested an honor killing, a heinous act carried out by the parents themselves. This theory, as you can imagine, sent shockwaves through society, inciting vehement debates about the role of family honor in such a modern, progressive world. But the case was far from closed. The Central Bureau of Investigation, or CBI, took over the investigation, adding another layer of complexity to this already tangled web. Their focus turned towards the parents, Rajesh and Nupur Talwar, making them the prime suspects. This shift in focus, however, was met with mixed reactions. Some saw it as a necessary step towards uncovering the truth, while others perceived it as an unnecessary and baseless accusation. As the CBI delved deeper into the case, they employed controversial methods to unearth the truth. Among these was the use of narco tests, a procedure involving the administration of truth serum to the suspects in an attempt to extract information. These tests, however, proved to be inconclusive, adding to the growing pile of unanswered questions and dead-end leads. The investigation was a labyrinth, a complex maze of theories, suspects, and evidence. It seemed like every turn led to a dead end, every lead fizzled out into nothingness. With each passing day, the mystery only deepened, the truth slipping further and further away. The case that had gripped the nation was unraveling, but not in the way anyone had hoped. Despite the mounting evidence, the question remained: who killed Aarushi and Hemraj? In a case shrouded in mystery, the courtroom became a stage for a drama that would grip the nation. Aarushi's parents, Rajesh and Nupur Talwar, found themselves at the center of this whirlwind, accused of a crime most heinous, the murder of their own daughter. The trial was a spectacle, with every twist and turn scrutinized by the public and media alike. The prosecution built its case on a foundation of circumstantial evidence, arguing that the parents were the only ones with the opportunity to commit the crime. The defense, however, maintained their innocence, insisting that the evidence was manipulated and that the investigation was botched from the start. In the end, the court sided with the prosecution. The Talwars were convicted in November 2013, based largely on conjecture and circumstantial evidence. The verdict sent shockwaves through the nation, sparking widespread outrage and debate. Many believed that the parents were innocent, victims of a justice system that had failed them. But the story doesn't end there. After serving 4 years in prison, the Talwars were released in October 2017, following a successful appeal to the High Court. The court ruled that the evidence against them was insufficient and that they could not be held guilty on the basis of the material placed before it. The saga of the Aarushi Talwar case was a dramatic and heart-wrenching journey through the labyrinth of the Indian legal system. It was a case that raised more questions than it answered, leaving a trail of doubt and uncertainty in its wake. Justice seemed elusive, as the case left more shadows than light. The Aarushi Hemraj murder case was more than a crime. It was a phenomenon that shook the Indian society to its core. This case, with its twists and turns, captivated the nation and drew the eyes of the world. Media outlets were in a frenzy, churning out report after report, speculation after speculation. The public too became obsessed, their minds swirling with theories and conjectures. The case was no longer just about a brutal double murder. It had morphed into a dissection of Indian family values, a questioning of trust and relationships. The image of the perfect Indian family was shattered. People began to question the sanctity of familial bonds, the very fabric that held society together. It was a jarring wake-up call, a reminder that appearances can be deceiving, that darkness can lurk even in the most unexpected places. But the impact didn't stop there. The Aarushi Hemraj case also brought to light the glaring issues in India's police and judiciary systems. The mishandling of evidence, the botched investigation, the questionable verdict, all these painted a picture of a system in dire need of reform. The public cried out for change, for justice not just for Aarushi and Hemraj, but for every citizen who had been let down by the system. Criticism poured in from all corners. International human rights organizations, legal experts, common citizens, everyone had something to say about India's handling of the case. The pressure mounted and the calls for reform grew louder. The Aarushi Hemraj case had exposed the chinks in India's armor, and it was clear that things could not go on as they were. Even today, the Aarushi Hemraj case remains a haunting reminder of the flaws in our justice system and the lengths to which human beings can go to protect their secrets. It serves as a stark lesson, a call to action, a plea for change. For in the end, it is not just about one crime, one case, one verdict. It is about a society, a system, a nation, and the urgent need to make things right.